Hi, this is Sue, your travel agent with Travel Changes Life. I want to talk a little bit about cruises and some of the changes that have happened in cruises since the time of COVID. As you know, cruise lines didn't run for a couple of years, and so many of them are finding it very difficult to come back and offer the same types of services that they offered pre-COVID. This is a warning to you because if you cruised on those particular lines before COVID, you were probably going to go back to that same cruise line. And you were going to see that there are changes that you probably don't like. Changes like degradation in the food, less food on the buffets or in the Lidos, less entertainment on board, less steward services in your room. And these make a difference to you because it makes a difference in the experience of your cruise. So I know what those changes are. And one reason that it's wise to book your cruise through me, a travel agent, is because I am going to be quite honest with you about telling you what you can expect and what you can't expect. Mostly now, I work with smaller ship cruises or yacht cruises or higher end cruises. And the reason for that is because I want your experience to be wonderful. You have put your time and your money into going on this cruise, and I don't want you to go on a cruise where you're standing in line to get a drink, you're standing in line to use the buffet, you're standing in line to get a beach towel. You can't get a chair around the pool because they're all reserved by 7 a.m. in the morning. You can't get into the specialty dining and so forth. You don't want to go on a cruise where everything you do becomes a hassle. And there are cruise lines, mass market cruise lines right now, where indeed that is the case. The other thing that some cruise lines are doing is they are more and more taking you to their private islands rather than destinations because they want you to go to that private island and spend money, which they own, and they get that money rather than taking you to a destination where you really get to see the world. Because that's what cruising originally was about. It wasn't a floating theme park. It was for you to go off on an adventure and see the world. So I know which cruise lines will help you to see the world and which will give you the kind of service and inclusivity that will give you a great experience. If you book a cruise and that cruise is $2,500, but it does not include any shore excursions, and then they've upped the price on their shore excursions, so every single time you leave the ship and take a shore excursion with them, it's $150 a person, and it's a 7-day cruise, that ends up to be some money. They're going to get their fee one way or the other, selling you a low-end entry price and then adding on for every single thing that you need on that ship or get off in the ship for a shore excursion. It's going to come out the same. It's a better experience to book a more upscale cruise where it's not crowded. You don't have 6,000 or 7,000 people on the cruise ship. And it's not a floating theme park. If you want a floating theme park because you have kids and you think that going to those floating theme parks is cheaper than going to Disney World or going to Universal in Orlando, then that's understandable. You can't, in many ways you can't beat it. And that's what you're going to do. But you're going to have the same experience you would probably have at a theme park, which is standing in line and not getting the type of service that cruise lines always used to give you pre-COVID. So if you're going to Alaska, for example, the top cruise lines for Alaska for many, many years, and I have been on both of them and I like them fine, was Princess because they own the lodges, and Holland America because they use Princess's lodges so that you can get both a land and sea experience. However, both of those cruise lines have, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of travelers, had a very more degraded experience than what you got pre-COVID. Some of that is not the fault of the cruise lines. For instance, in Skagway, there was a rock slide that has messed up where the cruises would berth. So some of them now are having a berthing spot where you have to walk a long way or take a bus shuttle to get into Skagway, or even they're having to tender. That's not the cruise line's fault. But you want a good experience and you don't want hassles when you go on vacation. So just think about that. And if you were planning to go on a cruise anywhere in the world, please contact me, Sue at travelchangeslife.com, or message me on Facebook. Let me know what you're interested in. I will always give you 3 or 4 options and tell you what my recommendation is, but do not buy on a cheap lead-in price, because in the end, you will probably pay more and you could have had a much nicer experience on a more upscale ship. So that's just a word to the wise. Please join me on my I send out a weekly little newsletter with information where I think there's pricing that's good or an experience that's super good. And you can go to suepainter.com/travel news, leave your name and email. I do not spam you. I will not send you more than 1 email a week. And usually it's about 3 emails in a month. So when I have something to say, you'll hear from me. When I don't have anything to say, you won't hear from me. This is Sue with Travel Changes Life. Bye-bye.